2 weeks ago, I made a shift over to Claude from ChatGPT. I also use Gemini for certain things. My biggest complaint about Gemini is the lack of memory in the workspace plans. Otherwise, it's pretty solid. It wasn't that I didn't like the results ChatGPT was giving me. I just had been hearing a lot about the great things from Claude, so I decided to give it a try. Shortly after I jumped in, Claude Cowork came out. Think of it like a blend between Claude Code and the standard chat interface. As I understand it, most of the power from Claude Code is there, but in a more friendly, non programmer speak wrapper. Anthropic, Claude's maker, is leaning into serving businesses first. And it's amazing. Seriously. Since ChatGPT came out, I've had a few existential moments as I realized what AI could actually do. And this was one of the biggest by far. Here are some of the projects I've given Cowork. Now, I'm a professional photographer, but I think most of these are relevant to any small business. Brand voice. I've got over a decade's worth of blog posts and web pages, and I've got a few years of YouTube videos. So my business certainly has a voice. But articulating that voice in a written document is easier said than done, especially for a small business. Claude Cowork's brand voice command, found within the marketing plugin, is magic. I pointed it to my website, key blog posts, and a year's worth of YouTube scripts, and it put together a pretty impressive reference document on how I talk to my audiences. Why does this matter? Well, Claude's only as powerful as what it really knows about you, and that's true of any AI. So having a brand voice document is key to having Claude help you with all sorts of other content marketing: blogs, video scripts, landing pages, LinkedIn posts, etc. Next, I tried making a lead list. I'm not a natural salesperson, but I've come a long way over the years. One of the things I still hate, though, is any kind of prospecting or cold calling. But it's a fact of sales. So I have a list of potential clients for some projects in a 40-page PDF. The document has all the typical fields like contact information, location, project name, etc. It's basically a PDF of a CRM. Well, I wanted to see if Claude could help me manage this file. So I uploaded the file along with some guidance about my goals. And after some back and forth, I've got it trained to parse the PDF, extract the relevant data into a spreadsheet, and help me rank prospects based on the projects that might be a good fit for me. If you're enjoying this video so far, you know the drill. Please like and subscribe. Thanks. Also, if you'd like to discuss these projects more in detail, book a consulting call with me. I love talking about AI and business. See the link in the description. Claude is very good at organizing your files. Just point it to any folder or make a copy of a folder and paste it into a folder structure reserved for Claude so you don't have to worry about it messing with anything. Then ask it to organize, and done. Any new task you start in Cowork is much more useful if you give it a working folder. In the folder, drop in helpful documents like that brand voice doc, for example. You can give it permissions to only access the folders you specify, so it doesn't mess with the rest of your drive. Financial accounting was my least favorite subject in my MBA, but accounting is a necessary business function. Once the reports are generated, though, I'm more interested. So I gave Claude my last year of financial statements, along with some expectations about this year. Using the financial statement command in the finance plugin, Claude put together a pretty useful analysis with questions I could pass along to my bookkeeper and accountant. To you photographers, PPA provides a benchmark survey, which is a gauge of photography business performance across the members. With this information, you can get a better idea if your business is on par with other successful photographers. So for extra credit, I uploaded this survey and asked Claude to grade my business against the benchmarks. I've glanced at this survey before, but never really effectively used it to measure my business, nor was my bookkeeper willing to incorporate it without additional costs. While this is a photography-specific example, I'm sure these sorts of benchmarks are available for most businesses and industries. So have at it. Understanding your competition is a pretty fundamental aspect of running a business. Some photographers are more or less concerned about it than others. As a photographer, I do believe it's important to have a defined brand or voice. You don't just want to continually chase what everyone else does. In a world of SEO, pay-per-click ads, websites, social media. It's helpful to have an understanding of who you're up against. The competitive brief command in the marketing plugin of Cowork does just that. Tell it what you're interested in, and it'll give you more reports than you know what to do with. The trick is dialing it in for your area and keeping the whole thing manageable so you can actually use it. You've heard the term AI slop. You can get a ton of it here. Again, if you want to talk more about this, book a consulting call with me and I'll run you through my exact process. I like my Squarespace site. It's not perfect, but it does the job. That said, knowing what to put on those pages is always a challenge. And it's a very time consuming challenge if you're anything like me. So, within the marketing plugin of Claude Cowork is a sales asset creation command. I told Claude I needed some help refreshing my high school seniors landing page. It's not a huge part of my business, but it's a growing piece of the pie, and I don't want it to be neglected. Of course, given the audience, it should be pretty current. So I uploaded that brand voice document again and let it rip. The interesting challenge here is that this page really has to serve two audiences, kids and their parents. At first, it sort of defaulted to more of a corporate voice, based on my brand doc, of course. But after highlighting the concern, we were able to work through some options. Claude suggested having two pages, one for each audience, but I reminded Claude that this isn't my primary business. So it wasn't worth the upkeep, and I was also concerned about SEO complications. You generally don't want two similar pages trying to do the same thing. Together, we came up with a format that spoke to both audiences. In fact, it wrote a full HTML page from scratch. Now, if only dropping the page into Squarespace was that easy. It did add some implementation advice with Squarespace in mind, though. How thoughtful. What's missing? The biggest gap I see in AI right now is that it's billed as this solution to everything. Make a website, make a CRM, run your social media, etc., etc. But the fact is, if you run a business for a few years, you've got a lot of systems and software. Some things work together, some don't. Take my website, for example, in Squarespace. Sure, Claude will build a new page or an entire new site. But do I want to drop Squarespace? Not at the moment. So I still need to take the mockups Claude makes and drop them in Squarespace myself. Another example is QuickBooks. Sure, Claude is capable of amazing financial statement analysis, but I still have to keep a QuickBooks subscription and pay a bookkeeper to get those reports. Having worked in the corporate world, I know for a fact that a lot of software is decades old. This legacy problem is still a problem, and it's not changing anytime soon. So, yes, AI can do some amazing things for your business, but don't expect it to do everything in your business without dropping some familiar software and workflows that you rely on. Maybe at some point the answer is to drop the old systems, but that's going to take time. And I don't think it's something most small business operators have. Got more questions on AI? Let me know in the comments or grab a consulting appointment if you want to go deep. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.